Hey everybody, it's Jillian. Good morning. I just woke up. But I like talking when I just wake up because that's when I'm most freshest and no coffee. Okay. But I wanted to talk about this yesterday, but I'm like, no, it's too late as far as just, the time because it was getting late. But I get it now as far as the black and white and the Christ Antichrist. So people are right. Yeah. Now I understand, like with the Catholic Church and why they think the Catholic Church is satanic, because the Catholic Church recognizes both sides. They recognize the Christ and the Antichrist. That is a duality programming, no different than black and white checkerboard that you see in the Freemason movies or movies that depict Freemasons, is that you see somewhere the signs and symbols, the checkerboard. And you see it also in the Church of England when you saw Diana getting married, or when you see the Queen with her scepter in her throne. They're always recognizing the Freemason duality. Well, that's no different than the Catholic Church. They recognize the duality. And so, since the Catholic Church understands also Greek mythology, you're seeing all the Greek mythological creatures that look like they're satanic, but they're not satanic. It's just recognizing the gods, and they are depicted in stone. And some of them had cloven hoofs. Yes, you had the centaurs, the little cedars. My parents had the cedars and the centaurs, and they had the minotaur. Not so much Baphomet as some people want to call the minotaur, but I could see where people would mistake the minotaur, not mistake it, but they would use. See, that's the thing, is that I see some of the religions out there that are trying to induce control over their population, their flock. They'll take creatures from the Greek mythology and use it as a symbol of evil. So when you are talking about Christ, then you can say, well, here is the Baphomet. This is satanic. Da, da, da. And then it compartmentalizes an aspect of Greek mythology, Greek reality, so that way you don't make the connections. You think Satanism and the Baphomet are completely unto itself, when really Aleister Crowley and all of the people that follow him are just feeding off of the same thing, which is Greek mythology. And yeah, they understand occult magic, because really the Greek mythology and Greek history, which is not mythology, is invoking divine potential, which is a type of life, like Pinocchio, when Pinocchio was given life by Geppetto. It's a type of divinity, even though he didn't have actually the flesh hands. He was given life, and he had to earn his meat suit. And so that was, but then you saw there was other depictions in there that people are having an issue with, like human trafficking and all that stuff, which, yeah, I get. I could see why some people think Disney is very satanic. And, yes, there is a lot of aspects of the world that not everyone's going to agree with that happened in antiquity, that happened a lot in antiquity. And and so the demigods and the gods that have allowed humans to create society, we have become very civilized to where we still have that light in the dark. We still have the light web, which is like Google and all your, you just go onto your internet and you just Google stuff, but it takes many different steps and VPNs and things to get into the dark web. And so you're going to have the underbelly of society. Excuse me. You're going to have the underbelly of society that is going to then represent the things that are hidden in the Disney movies, that people would do like stills, and they would say, hey, look, it's spelling out sex. And yeah, oh yeah, I do not doubt that for a minute, that is being embedded into the subconscious through that flash programming. But that's the duality. The thing with our society, if you want to give life to society, you have to also promote death, especially if you're not invoking life indefinitely. Because what happens, this is the thing, this is what I figured out a long time ago, that I'm not going to prove until 7 billion has calmed down and I'm in some kind of smaller community where there's not going to be so many variants of viruses. The only way that you could stop with the death and reproduction, where nobody dies, is that if everybody was 100% well. You weren't putting in new people, new variants into an atmosphere, and everyone had their own, had their perspective jobs and things to run that society, or they had machines that could be easily maintained. And so when you're 100% well, let's say they're on the Jilly Juice 100% well, they're not going to die and they're not going to want to procreate. And so you'd have a very balanced society with very homogenous, balanced society that is mobile, yes, but there is nobody new coming in causing the society to evolve. So, but no one is doing that. So then, hold on. So then, when we are practicing reproduction and building families and having children and all this stuff, then you have to promote death, because from death comes reproduction. Okay? Especially when you're nation building. You're going to program your kids for a certain amount of time to be a certain kind of adult, whether it's in real estate, whether it's finance, whether it's, in the military, whether it's picking crops. You're going to then create segments of society and then breed people for different aspects of society, which means that, yes, you're going to promote death and you're going to promote reproduction. You're going to promote all that stuff. And so then you're going to have, the representation and symbols of the Antichrist and the Christ, which is life versus death. You're not, and then the thing is, what trips me out is, why is it that they're depicting Lucifer as the same thing as Satan? That they're not the same thing. But I see why they're deception, because really Lucifer is the light, it's the knowledge, it's the esoteric knowledge that, yes, the Vatican and the Freemasons don't want people to understand, because if you stay in a very narrow point of view, in a narrow world, in a compartmentalized world, then it's easy to program you and all of your future generations to then gear society in any direction they see fit. And so then I understand then why we then have the language of where we have words like good and evil, okay, Christ and Antichrist, positive versus negative, which is all great. They all represent the duality, but it also is a programming that where you can actually put it like under good, have all these different words like work and take care of your kids and give to your community, donate and volunteer and whatever. That's on the good side. And the bad side is, oh, you murder and all the different 10 commandments where you shouldn't, like, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, like all the 10 commandments. And so that's how you can program a society to stay within parameters. And then if you go outside those lines, then you have everybody in a cycle like, oh my God, you're not working, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're a bad person. And then that person feels bad about themselves and they get up and they go to work, or they get up and do something because they don't want that peer pressure. And that's how you then create then little soldiers in society, forcing people to either get a vaccine or not get a vaccine, or, lynch people because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And so that's how the words, and then using those dualities of good and evil and whatever. And then you could also manipulate people into thinking, well, that life and death are the same thing when they're not. Excuse me, I'm really just like congested right now. A lot of variance, but whatever. And so then you can also manipulate the population to think that life is death, or that when you were born, you start dying right away. I mean, I heard that from people. Oh yeah, when you're born, you start dying right away. And I'm just like, what the fuck, And so if you don't know the laws of life and death, then you're going to basically accept that you're going to die someday. You're only meant to be here is to breed and feed and fight and flight and flee and do your little vacations and have your little legacy, and then just die, and that's it. There's nothing else. And maybe pass on everything to your kids. Make sure you leave money to your kids and leave money to the state. And that is the programming based upon allowing people to live in these dualities, and then making sure people do take a side. Oh, but I'm all about Christ, but I'm going to die someday. I'm all about Christ, but I'm going to take all these different drugs and take out my organs. And isn't that a little bit satanic when you're kind of just basically carving yourself up and then offering your energy and your essence to to the gods or to the occult science, which, okay, I get you want to feel relief, but then you're all about Christ, but then you're carving yourself up and doing things that are actually very anti-Christ-like. And so, yeah, so you're seeing in a society that's dying how much they can make the Christians and the Catholics and all the different people so hypocritical, like super hypocritical. And I'm just like, what the heck? And then people are like, oh yeah, the Jews are like satanic. And I'm like, no, they're not. Everybody, I mean, it's like, if you believe in death, that people should die, that's a form of Satanism. That's a form of Satanism. Because Satan is a prince of freaking darkness. The prince of darkness means that at some point you're going to sell your soul so you can make all this money and get all this stuff and whatever it is, and then you will just die. You will just give your soul to the prince of darkness. If I really want to get biblical, but that's what I have to see. That's what I have to point out is the hypocrisy. So why even go there? Just understand what the laws of life, the laws of death, don't call it anything. I mean, for me, in my opinion, get out of the politics, religion, and science. Because it's going to make a hypocrite out of you. No matter what, anytime you take a side, it's going to make a hypocrite out of you. And so really, this is all for my jelly juicers, because I really know I can't really penetrate the programming out there with people who have their religions and their politics and their scientific dogmas that are so embedded that there's no possible way. And if they want to die, who am I to say they should live, right? But this is for my jelly juicers. If you really want to be aligned in body, mind, and spirit with like actually literally aligned, not hypocritical, then understand that there's no reason to take a side. You know that Satan has to exist, the death has to exist for people, because if we have too many people who are dying and reproducing, or who are dying and reproducing but keep reproducing and short and they have a longer life, then they're going to use up all the resources. So then they have to go and speed up the evolution to allow those that are immunocompromised to speed up the death. That's what you're seeing in the viruses. All the therapeutics is to balance out the world. That 7 billion too much. Okay? And so don't worry about trying to convert all your friends and family. You drop the information, but you don't you don't try to ram it down, because the more that you try to ram this information down their throat, the more they're going to resist, and they're going to take the side of death, because that's what they already expect. That's what they know. They're going to have a hard time dealing with the pain because they have been anesthetizing themselves their whole life. And so you honor them that say, okay, you know what? You're going to be my sacrifice, right? Because that's kind of what's going on. I mean, for people to live, like I've watched The Walking Dead, and I've got the message in The Walking Dead. For people to survive, people got to die. For people to survive, people have to die. That's such a freaking conundrum, but it makes sense. When you only have that one piece of cake, and that's, or yeah, a slice of cake, and that's the last cake in the world, and it's the only one that keep you alive forever, and there's only 2 of you, and only one person can have that cake. Someone is going to die to carry the human race forward. That's exactly what's going on. That's what the whole duality is someone has to die. Does it have to be you? No. That's what I'm trying to get across. It doesn't have to be you. But it's only going to take a certain person to understand this, which means that, yes, the person that doesn't understand this, they're going to be the sacrifice, the sacrificial lamb. But I recognize it. Does it make me satanic? No, it makes me understand balance, and that you can't convert people, and you can't ram life down people's throat that doesn't want to live. And so what do? You say, okay, no problem. Take all your prescription drugs. Take all your antibiotics. Take out all your organs. Do whatever you got to do. Keep society running, because we want to have the people still go to work and go to their factories and drive their trucks and, you know, maintain infrastructure. And so whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you happy. And then, yeah, the JGs will kind of take you out of your game a little bit, so you're not earning as much money, because you're going to be healing, and you can't be in 2 places at once. You can't heal sometimes, so you have to actually rest, and you can't be working if you have to rest. So you're going to have to choose. You're going to have to sacrifice something, right? Some people will sacrifice themselves for their work. That's what sacrifice is, what human sacrifice is what are you going to sacrifice? Something for you or for somebody else? And that's the trip about sacrifice, which in my book right now, I'm breaking down what human sacrifice is at the micro level and the macro level. And are you doing it are you sacrificing yourself for the good of the community, or are you sacrificing, or are you sacrificing yourself for well, are you saving yourself and sacrificing, the extra money you'd be making? So you sacrifice, so somebody else then, if you're not out there working, someone else is going to be, which means they'll be sacrificed because it's more energy they're taking out of themselves, even though they're given money, but they're not going to spend the money correctly, really. The money is going to be spent on shit that they don't need, that's not going to prolong their life. And so you're saving yourself and they're being sacrificed because now you're dangling money in front of them, and people who don't understand life will gravitate towards the material goods. And that's how you can get people to enjoy their demise, enjoy the road, enjoy the journey, towards the end is you dangle all the pleasures and all the wealth and whatever perception. And so, and then you can manipulate. And that's, so I get it. I mean, I get it. Holy crap. I've had some dreams last night and about keys and whatever. But yeah, the variants out there are pretty crazy. So anyway, so it's all evolution. It's all evolution. But it's what you go through when you're healing and what you're dealing with the variants is that you have to get the excess antibodies out so they don't turn into cancer, or it doesn't do so much search and destroy where, yeah, it turns into cancer. Because, yes, when you have so many antibodies in your body doing a search and destroying your evolution, then the body's still going to want to live and evolve to the level of your environment. And so then you have massive amounts of growth. As well as having so many agonist antibodies in your body causing so much growth. And that also is cancer. So it's a thermodynamics. That is wow. But dang, yeah, these variants are crazy. And my dog even slept in too. We both kind of slept in today. But anyway, so I just want you to understand why I understand Christ and Antichrist. I understand the duality of positive and negative, light and dark, black and white, Democrat, Republican. You're seeing right now BLM versus, hell, I don't know, all the right wingers, and who cares? I mean, but that's the duality. That's what you're seeing is the promotion of the duality programming. You take a side, yes, John, you take a side, and that's how people can get their sacrifices. And so, yeah, you can promote life for a certain amount of time. That's the light. That's Jesus. That's whatever. And then, oh, hey, here's your pill powder supplement. You're going to go. Talk to you later. Bye.